So the track is ballasted and all seems to have stuck down pretty well with very little loose material left. So I'm now going to do the scenery on one of the fields. It's going to be the one with sheep in it, so I'm going to use short fibres for that because they've nibbled it all down. So let's have a look and see what I'm going to be using. I bought the Woodland Scenic Static Grass Starter Kit, and that comprises the applicator, the static tack glue to glue the fibres down with, two different sieves. That one's for 2 and 4 millimeter length fibres, and that's for 7 and 12 millimeter fibres. And it comes with the thatch comb, which, as you can see, I don't need because I haven't got a thatch, but it's used for combing the fibres, taking any loose ones out and just helping to encourage it to stand up a bit if it's lying a bit flat. They supply a little bag of 4 millimeter medium green static grass and some 7 millimeter light green, and I've also bought in a bigger pack of 2 millimeter, which I'm going to use today, and a bigger pack of the 7 millimeter. And I've also invested in a model vac that they make, has 3 different sieves for the particles, and that's the thing itself. It's a little noisy, but it has the light underneath, so if you're working in a dark space you can illuminate what's happening. So we'll just turn that off, and also got a bigger bottle of the static tack because I've got quite a bit to do and I don't think the small bottle would last. So we're going to turn to the layout in a minute and start using it. So first of all, let's get the applicator ready with the fibres I'm going to use before we go on to the layout. So I'm using the 2 millimeter static, so let's undo that. Oops, I'll have to get a felt tip out and write on the bag afterwards, I think. It's in one of those little resealable bags, which is good. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to open the bag. Right, it's a resealable bag, but it's also been welded across there, so I'm going to have to get the scissors and cut across there. There we go, let's get rid of the other staple. And open the bag up, there we go. Right, so I'm using 2 millimeter fibres, so I think you only half fill this. I think for the small area I'm doing, that will probably do. So let's just tap that back in there and reseal it, otherwise, knowing me, I'll end up with a bag on the floor and fibres everywhere. So we're using 2 millimeter fibres, so we use the small mesh, and we pop that in there and screw it on. Bottle of tack, and we will take it to the layout. Now, as you can see, I've put a bit of newspaper, or free newspaper, over there just to cover the track up so we don't get fibres all over the track, and also just along there so that I can make a clean edge of it. I'll get the vac ready for later on, and the comb we won't need for the moment either. Right, so this is the field that's going to have sheep in it, so it's a bit like the old Copydex brush, quite a broad sort of shaving brush, almost like shape, and we spread that around right up just onto the edge of the back seam. Got to work it in to the edges there. As this is the first time I've ever done this. I've done ballasting before a long time ago, but I have done it before, but this I have never done before, so it's going to be a learning curve. Let's just get some more up there. There we go, and into the edge. And then along the edge of the road. There's one bit there I didn't colour very well, but no. Hopefully the grass will cover it, and it's going to be hidden by the hedge as well, so we're not going to be too fussed about that. Spread this out across here as well. Now, I don't know how quickly this stuff dries, so I should have to be fairly quick once I've spread the static tack and get the fibres on the go. Got a slight aroma to it, it's not overpowering. Perhaps, I don't know what the glue actually is, whether it's a variant on PVA, I'm not sure. It has that sort of aroma to it. But, there we go. Let's just make sure that edge is properly covered with glue, because that's going to be the more visible side. Okay, so we'll pop the lid back on that, and here's the moment of truth. Let's open the lid up, turn it round this way, and oh, hang on, you're supposed to shake this, I don't know for how long, but that's obviously to generate a bit of static with the fibres on the plastic. The more expensive senior models, which I shall get when I have bigger areas to do, they obviously have a battery in them and a clip that you clip onto a nail in the middle of the glued area to create the static charge. But hopefully, oh yes, it's created some static. I can see it on the, it's sticking to the sides of the container now, so hopefully it starts. Oh, now the back seam's getting in the way a little bit, so I've got to get this steep enough so it actually starts coming out of the, oh, there we go. The tricky bit's going to be getting right up to the back seam, because the I think a stabbing action rather than a shaking action is getting them to come out of the pot a bit better. It's got to go on fairly thick to make sure it's complete coverage, because the loose we can vac up afterwards. It's beginning to look a bit like a field. I'm not sure if it's, well, they're only 2mm fibre, so they probably won't stand up very well anyway. Let's see if I can get that into that edge there. I'll come right up the top here and see if I can get some now. I think what I might have to do is well, that's covered that, so it's now a case of letting it dry and see how it all turns out, and get the vacuum out afterwards and vacuum up the ones that haven't stuck down and see what it looks like. The moment of truth. Let's see whether it's stuck. Bit of a noisy beast, and it's got that model railway electric smell about it. Right. does seem to have stopped. There's not much coming off. I think what I have discovered is I've got the wrong grade of filter in here because it's blowing straight back out of the grill. So I've taken the tube off and I've got the smallest of the filter pieces in, which I'm going to pop in there. And hopefully that will stop me getting covered in fibres when I'm vacuuming. So pop the tube back on. And the nozzle for the end. Let's have another go. Those fibres seem to get everywhere. Right, so it's getting nice and close. Well, that seems to have actually worked pretty well. I've got some spray adhesive and I might just give it a thin spray of that just to fix the top in, because if I run my finger over it, it does tend to loosen it up a little bit, but it seems to have stuck pretty well, so I'm satisfied with that.